Hello and welcome back to BA Publisher Basics and Beyond. Today we would cover the advanced data extraction using a data template. So we are going to look at the advanced features within the data template that includes regrouping, using functions, etc. So before we start, as always, there will be a zip file right below this video. You can download it. That would have all the necessary files for this particular lab. So let's look at the basics. So we have the data residing in the in the Oracle database, which is connected to your connected to your concurrent program through Decoded. That is tied to a data template. The data definition would then tie the data template to Decoded. So once the concurrent program fetches the data, the output post processor would connect the XML to the template and would generate the output. So in the previous lab, we looked at a simple data template. In this lab, we are going to explore more advanced features within the data template. So before we go, let's look back on the data template. So the data template has four components. It has of course, it's an XML based template. The components are parameters, uh, get triggers, you got the data query, and finally the data structure. So you get the data structure and the trigger. So let's look at a template. Let's look at it one more time. So we have the data template, the XML tag for data template, which would give the name. You have the default package that would be used. You have the properties. You have the parameters. You have the SQL statement, the data query, and finally the data structure. The structure would specify how the output should come out. So let's for this lab we are going to take a business requirement. So we're going to create a report that would give us all the invoices and credit memos, sum it by the customer and at the invoice level or transaction type level. It's a basic requirement. We would start with the simple query. Of course, all these SQL statements are available for us to review. So if I run a simple query like this, I would get an output something similar to this. So we'll have a credit memo, then the invoices and everything for a customer. So let's start with a simple template. Then we will add complexity to it, and finally we'll get the desired output. So for this particular example, I'm going to use, so there will be multiple files within this zip file. So we will start with the demo1.data template. So here is the demo1 data template. It's of course it's a XML program. So data template is named as XXNN concurrent program. So this name would be, it doesn't have to match to the concurrent program short name, but it's a good idea. The properties, I've set the debug mode on, which I'll show you how it works, and I've set the scalability mode on. If you enable the scalability mode, the memory is, it doesn't use that much memory. It switches between memory and the disk. Then you have the parameters that are used within the concurrent program. Of course, then you have the data query, which is the SQL statement. So let's add the SQL statement. So if you notice that I'm going to use the parameters which we created above. So I'm using it with as a colon. So if you look above, when I define the parameters, I'm going to use it in the SQL statement. If you look at here, I'm going to say if the transaction date is greater than colon the date, less than colon date. So once this equal statement is added, we are going to do the next step, which is the data structure. We are going to, the first one is a simple one. We're just going to leave everything in a flat layout. So we have a group. Within that group, we will have the elements. So if you notice that the name can be anything, it is of course, but the value has to match what's the output from the SQL. So for example, the query is q get transaction details, which should match the SQL statement. And here I'm specifying the tricks date as invoice date. And if I come down here, the value has to match that particular selection. So once the elements are added, we would register the concurrent program. So the executable would be, of course, xdodtxe, and the format has to be XML. Let's click and add the parameters. So we'll add the two parameters. Please note the token. This token should match the parameter that you've defined in the template, data template. So I'm not going to be fancy here. I'm just going to use the value set as 20 characters rather than FND date. Um, you're free to test out different things. So when you use the date, remember the date would be converted to the the special format. So you may have to. There are some additional steps that you need to do, but for now we're just going to do a straightforward one. So now we have registered the concurrent program. Our next step is to register the data definition. So let's go to XML Publisher Administrator, expand the home, click on data definition. When you click on data definition, this following page appears. Click on create data definition. So make sure you enter the code that has to match the application, the short name that you have created, and the application has to match the application that you have registered the concurrent program. The name can be anything. As I said, we can, I usually give the concurrent program name followed by DD, data definition. You click up, once you do that, click apply. You would then be, you can then add your data template. You click on add file, you click on browse, you can select your data one template, click apply. The confirmation page would appear. You would say that the data definition has been updated. Let's go back to the request groups and add the program. Let's go ahead and run the program. So for this particular, I'm selecting that concurrent program name. I'm giving the start and end date in this specific format. Remember, we just specified the character, so we have to provide. There's no validation, so you'll have to provide the date in the valid format. Click OK. So once you click OK, then once the job finished, you click on output. You would see the output in the XML format. Remember, we haven't tied it to the XML. We're just looking at the XML output. We haven't tied it to a template, so we can see the data in a formatted way. So here we can see here it's a plain format. Yeah. So one of the couple of things we need to look at is invoice date is in a XML format. We can tweak the date format. So our next step would be to regroup it so that the transaction. So we'll group it so that we'll group it first with customer first. So we'll have customer, then followed by the transaction details. So let's start with fixing the data format. So we're going to edit the query. You can fix the data format. Let's go ahead and regroup the data. So if you notice, our old grouping was on the get tricks details. So we are going to add a new group. So nothing changed in the SQL except we changed the formatting. We are going to use uh, the first group as a customer, and we are going to move the account number and party name from the G get tricks detail to G customer. Notice it's the same query that's being used. The source is the same. The field names are the same. The only exception is that we have created a group within this group. So we have an XML tag for group, which is a G customer. I have another nested group that would get the tricks details. It's all pointing to the same cursor, same query. As we notice, group, elements, and I'm moving the tricks details. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and search for that data definition. Click on update file and update the new template. So I have the template defined as demo2. So ideally, you would you would make the changes to the first one, save it as data demo2. Let's go ahead and run the program. Look at the view output once the job is completed. So you notice that the results are now grouped by customer and then followed by tricks detail. Let's take one step further, and if you notice that the dates are in the right format. So let's take it one step further. Let's group it by customer followed by the tricks type, transaction type. So let's before we do that, so I want you guys to try one thing. I want you guys to, there is a template with an X at the end. So this is going to cause the template to fail. If you run this, you upload this file, then run the concurrent program. Look at the log and see if you can find what's causing the issues to fail. So the issue with that template is, if you observe closely, I've put instead of a comma, I put a semicolon. That would cause the SQL to fail. So try it out. This would help you to observe, why the SQL failed, or why the template failed, or why the concurrent program failed. It's a good exercise. So let's take one step further. So we're going to group it by customer followed by the transaction details. So we are not going to change anything in the SQL. We are just going to, so our data structure looked like something like this. Then the next run we changed the grouping. So we have a new group called a G customer followed by G tricks details. So in the new, let's take it one step further. We are going to have currently we have a group for customer followed by tricks details. We are going to add one more group, which is called tricks type, and we are going to move the tricks type out of the inner group to the outer group. So let's go do the same thing. Click update file, click on browse, get the new file. So I have the file as demo3. Run the program. So let's observe the output. So we can see that the output is now grouped by customer. This is the old result. This is the new result. So it's grouped by customer followed by the tricks type. So let's take it one step further. Let's get the sum of the amount by customer and by tricks type or transaction type. So so far we have regrouped the data. We have grouped. So in the first run we didn't have any grouping. In the second run we have grouped by customer and by tricks details. In the third we have regrouped them by tricks type. In step 4 we are going to use the functions that are available within the template. So in order for, it's very straightforward. The syntax is very simple. If you look here, I have added the element. Everything is the same. The name of the element is what should be the name of the field that I need to see it in out in, or what should be the name of the tag. The value is where we are going to, where do we get the value from, and what's the function. So in this particular example, I am going to get it from the group tricks detail dot extended amount. So I'm going to sum all the extended amounts from the from this group, and at this, so this sum would be at the customer level. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm calling the element as tricks extended amount, the same function, but this time it will be grouped at the tricks type, the transaction level. It's very simple. So you can, here I'm using the function as sum. This, go back to the same, you click so I have a new template called demo4 if you want to use, or if you can make your own changes. You click update file, click browse, select your file, run the program. So if you notice that you can see for this transaction type there is an extended amount. For this transaction type there is an extended amount. For this customer you have an extended amount. So for this customer, the total, each transaction, there's a separate total. So in this template, we have looked at how do we regroup the data. So there are quite, data template has a lot of functions available. Of course, you can always Google search it, or you can download the, the user guide. So you can have other functions like average, max, max amount. Sum is the most commonly used, I would say. It's pretty easy. Like I said, you just specify the name, and where do you get the value from, which would be the group name dot the element name and the function. It's pretty simple. So you can have it at any level. So you can have it at customer level or at the transaction type level. I want you guys to try out different combinations and see how it comes out. So that concludes this chapter. Um, so if you look at this, before we conclude, let's look at the Excel file. So if you open the zip file, you would see quite a few in demo1, demo2, demo3 files. You register the concurrent program. Here are steps to register the concurrent program and running the concurrent program. So that concludes this chapter. We will look forward to seeing you in other videos. Thank you.